Well, it's a bit difficult to know where to start describing that one. I'm a bit lost. Welcome to Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon and welcome to the 40th anniversary Lancaster Classic Motor Show at the NEC. We've got some great cars to see, like this RS200 behind me, so join me on the walk around the show. Well, this one's unusual, isn't it? And many of these probably didn't survive. This is a Peugeot 205 GTI dimmer with the dimmer kit on it. Apparently there's 250 of these in the UK. They took, it says, 160 hours to convert a standard 205 to this level of trim. And dimmer, apparently, and it says it here on the card next to it, so just to prove I've actually read this one, was actually stands for Distribution Importation Michel Malhide Association. Well, I didn't know that, and I'm not ashamed to admit it either. What an immense car. These were absolutely the cars to have in the max power days. Apparently it's had something like £35,000 spent on the restoration, and they've done quite a job of it, haven't they? Wow. So we're going to start off on the Maguire's Club showcase stand, the best of the best from the clubs, and they're not kidding. This is a one owner from new E46 M3 BMW Coupe 3 Series in Phoenix Yellow. This was a colour that I think was used on a lot of the press cars, but this was privately owned from new, and doesn't it absolutely pop? It only gets used for shows. It's had relatively little use, which I guess explains the condition, but what a super looking BMW that is. Wow, I could certainly find room for that one. So who remembers Miami Vice? Well, I do, and they had a Ferrari Testarossa, maybe not as nice as this 1991 example. Matching numbers car, that's not always a given. The engine and gearbox and everything match. I am led to believe that this is a later car, I think, because the mirrors on the early cars were positioned right at the top of the A-pillar. I'm never quite sure why that was. Stick it in the comments if you know. And the vents on the side actually were less about design and more requirement for the American market. The vents, I think, originally were due to be sort of opened out without those lats in the side of it. But honestly, it's a beautiful looking car, isn't it? This is probably the generation of Ferrari that I definitely would go for if only I'd got the budget. That's beautiful, isn't it? So this 1997 Rover Mini is getting towards the end of the original Mini's production. It was owned by the current owner's grandmother, and then I think passed to him when she passed on. Absolutely lovely car. I think it's what's classed as a Balmoral, because it had this checkered interior trim. Not sure if the camera picks that up very well, how close we can get to that. But some of the cars did have that. I do love those pepper pot alloys. My sister had one just like that, and the alloys do really set it off. And probably a bit more unusual to find one of these than actually a Cooper, which just seem to be everywhere, don't they? What's the colour? Nightfire? I'm not sure, but put it in the comments if you know. It's beautiful, isn't it? So this Metro's fairly well known to me. It's a base model, as base can be. It's an 81 car. The car was only launched in 80. Apparently a British car to beat the world, so it said. I absolutely love this Applejack green colour. Well, you wouldn't get many colours like that these days. I think it was also a class winner at Festival of the Unexceptional as well. Well, deservedly so, and it does actually drive to shows because I followed it back from Festival of the Unexceptional, so credit due to Colin, the owner, who definitely does love his Metro. So this is not half bad either, this split screen Westfalia Type 2 Volkswagen, and that is in great condition. Love how those front windows pop out. I don't know how practical they are, but honestly they just look so cool, don't they? It has got the proper awning with it, the picnic set, the table outside. What is not to like about that? It looks absolutely immense, doesn't it? That's one of the ones I'd take home with me today already, and quite honestly there's a lot more to see, so please keep watching. So this W201 Mercedes 190 is the masterclass winner of the 2024 Mercedes-Benz Club UK concourse, and it's a Bobby Dazzler car. It's a pre-facelift car. It's an 86, so it's a bit earlier than the one I have. It's got the options of the wipers, which are only standard on the 2.6. The suspension height is pretty high. It hasn't settled, or it's had new springs. They do tend to sit high, and did sit high from new, but it's in beautiful condition. Got the sunroof that came with the E. Yeah, that looks fantastic, even bearing its original dealer plates, Derwent of Leeds. Absolutely beautiful. So yes, it's a Capri, I hear you cry, but it's a Mark 1 1600L from 1972. The L's don't seem to survive. If they do survive, it tends to be the higher grade ones. I love those original Lucas spot lamps. Do you remember when they were all the rage? It's got the AA badge. I think the membership number, is that what's on the bottom there? I don't know. Put that in the comments. But it's got the proper wing mirrors, not exactly as they are at the end of the wing. Well, should be at the end of the wing. Oh, it looks beautiful, doesn't it? Paint finish is great. What are they, Rose style? Rubio in wheels, I think they are. Wow, it's even got the L badge on the side, in case you didn't know it was bottom of the range, but it's absolutely lovely, isn't it? The W198 Mercedes SL, or Sport Light if you prefer, was built from the mid-50s to the early 60s, really as a way to actually generate more business from the expanding US sports car market. So the gullwing version of the car, which the organisers had hoped to get, is utterly priceless and pretty rare. This is the Roadster version. These are also pretty expensive, getting on towards £1 million, and doesn't it look absolutely lovely? Love the way those arches are designed, how the car just flows, doesn't it? The vents on the side, it really does look fantastic. The paint finish, well, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's just epic. And some old-fashioned skis on the back by the look of it as well. So yeah, what is not to like? At a time when BMW were totally on their knees financially, they launched the 700, and this was a rear-engined flat twin, a 697cc microcar, I guess you'd call it. And guess what? It was a massive sales success, and this car is probably the one that did save BMW and allowed them to grow to be the company that they are today. And this is a very pretty little coupe. I love that sort of pastel green and sort of old English white roof. That's beautiful, isn't it? So this BMW 3-litre CSL Coupe Sport Light has had a bit of a life, and it's one of its original owners. I think the original owner was the Marquis of Blandford, who has a very checkered history. I think he was disinherited from the family estate. I'm sure you can Google the rest, but it's beautiful, isn't it? Those chrome arches, I always thought that they were a bit aftermarket, but in actual fact they weren't. I've seen several cars with them, and they were fitted from new, so plenty of chrome there to polish anyway. Packing a naturally aspirated V12 engine is this superb Jaguar XJR 15, in brackets R9R it says, and this effectively is a road-going race car developed out of a race series by Tom Walkinshaw, and he did an epic job. Numbers of these are really, I think it's something like about 15 or 16 of these cars were ever built, and this apparently is an unregistered prototype, and it looks absolutely brilliant, doesn't it? That rear wing means business. Goodness, that's amazing. Some cars are so of their time, and this 1982 Tasman 280i fixed head coupe, 2+2 allegedly, I'm not sure who would fit in the back of that one, is really of its time. Through Blackpool TVR's wedgie period, this sort of developed and developed, and more as a, I think, as a soft top really, but there is something quite appealing about this, particularly that rear window at the back, which does actually give you great visibility. It's in incredible shape and sort of such an 80s look, isn't it? So a guy called Sidney Allard pioneered putting huge American engines in lightweight sports cars way before AC had gone on to it, I think, and also before Carroll Shelby had as well. Originally produced these so-called gentlemen's racers like these, incredibly long bonnets. In the end, the company stopped making these, and I think they were converting things and modifying things like Ford Anglias, and unfortunately the company closed after a factory fire in the mid-60s. But they are an epic looking car. I mean, look at the bonnet. I mean, you can see it's got an American engine in, but just looking that it's more than half the car. Wow, that's something else, isn't it? I wouldn't mind a passenger riding one of those. So I make no apologies for including an E-Type, especially when it's the last one ever made, the 1974 Series 3 5.3 litre. The car had grown, I think, in length by then. This is the last one ever made. I have actually driven an end-plated one. It may even be this exact car, certainly one like it. I think it was black anyway. And they drive incredibly well in a straight line. Not sure about the bends. The only bit that really worried me was the brakes, because they don't half require a push. And when you've only been used to modern cars, that can be a bit of a shock, but it looks beautiful, doesn't it? Does somebody smell gas? Well, if you do, you've come to the right place. We can call out this very faithfully created, or original, who knows, British Gas Astrovan. It's got the tube pipe on the roof, it's got the proper roof rack in there. It looks like it's got all the equipment in the back as well. Well, somebody's done a job on that. I think I've seen that at the Vauxhall show, probably in 2023, I think. But wow, what a job they've done with that one. So talk about hen's teeth rare. They just built 409 of these De Tomaso Longchamp. I think we've got an American or an Australian sourced but American designed engine, probably a V8. This is absolutely lovely, isn't it? It's probably a real step change from the Pantera that's at the side of it, but there's a lot less of these than Pantera. So let's have a quick look. I recognise that door handle, looks like it came off a Fiat. I don't know, answers on a postcard please. Look at the seats inside. They look like they're from a Parker Knoll recliner. Wow, that's something else, isn't it, inside? Proper four-seater, well, just about. Look at the car. Absolutely beautiful, isn't it? And unusual, and that's what I like about it, and I hope you do too. So this, I'm reliably informed, is Maserati's first saloon, designed by Fruer. You probably see actually the Fruer influence at the front by looking at some of the BMW designs they did. In actual fact, one of 776, but there can't be too many left. It's the Series 1 AM107, and it was in production for just 6 years. It is a show winner by the look of it, to be honest with you. It's absolutely amazing. Incredible shape, isn't it? I love how the glass curves around into the side. Some lovely detailed features. We're going to take a look inside whilst we can, and quite deep in the footwell there. I love the controls for the mirror. I'm presuming that's what it is, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Beautifully appointed. Got those super rocker switches inside. That's gorgeous, isn't it? Not a headrest in sight there. Well, they wouldn't be, I guess, from the 60s, but I guess from every angle there's something to like in that car, isn't there? What an unusual car, and what a rare one. I love it. Beautiful. So this is a Jensen 541R, and I must admit I'm smitten by these. They produced a beautiful car with this one. It's got echoes of that Mercedes SL here. Lots of innovation here. The rear side screens here, and I think the rear screen are made of Perspex, which was quite a revolutionary material in the 50s. I think when it was tested by Autocar, it was one of the fastest cars on sale at the time, and doesn't it look well? So Bristol were better known for aeroplanes than cars before World War II. With the drop-off of aircraft production, the finish of the war, they needed to change their attention, and they developed cars like this, the 404. Initial designs were sort of based on, I think, BMW cast-off designs with some changes. This is a 53 2-litre 6-cylinder. Love the Cyclops headlamp there as well. Beautiful. This is a 2-door, and we've got the 405 from 1955, which is the 4-door. There is something just understated and elegant. Even the later cars like the 411, like this one, just have such incredible appeal. And finally we've got one of the early 401s, and you can see the relationship with BMWs of that period, or certainly the 40s, I think. So any ideas what this is? Well, it's from I think one of the oldest car companies in the world, the AC car company, and it's the AC 3000 ME, built with the Essex engine, the Ford Essex engine. Built, I think, something like only less than 100 cars were built. Originally 70 by the original factory, then 30 in Scotland when production moved there. Didn't sell well at all, and eventually I think it was just dropped. But some great styling features. Just looking at the buttresses there at the back, not quite sure about that cowl there, what that is. This one's lovingly preserved, isn't it? Wow, you don't see too many of those about, do you? Now, you're absolutely right, this is an Aston Martin Rapide, but this car was actually developed by Bertoni. In fact, the last car before Bertoni unfortunately went bust, and they developed a sort of hatch version of the Rapide, the car that was never made. This is a total one-off from what I understand. You certainly won't see another one, and hence that's why I'm taking the opportunity to include it. Wow, it's really incredible, isn't it? That sort of works as well, doesn't it, as a hatchback? Must have had an epic amount of engineering. So using the engine from the Mark II Cortina GT, and I think a variant of the Lotus Cortina suspension, is this Ford Cortina 1600E, the luxury one of the range. E Executive, I think, standing for way before the gear arrived. This one was voted best Cortina at the Cortina National Day. Well, you know what? I'm absolutely not going to argue with that for 1 minute. Interesting colour there as well, isn't it? That sort of red orangey colour. Not quite sure how to describe that. If you know what the colour is, please put it in the comments, or you own the car. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Replacement for the Topolino, the Fiat 500, actually designed by, I think, Dante Giacosa. That's a name you can't easily forget, can you? This is a 1958 Fiat Nuvova 500N, and it is winner of Waxstock Car of the Show. Well, I haven't heard of Waxstock, maybe that's one I need to include next year, but it's certainly well prepared. I mean, the condition is incredible. Look how the rear wheels toe in quite a lot, which is pretty much how they should be. Lovely, isn't it? So we're looking at the Lancaster Hall of Fame now, and this beautifully prepared Austin Montego and Vanden Plas EFI, registered in '87. Got the fuel injected Rover engine in. It is, I've seen these before, but not necessarily in this condition, and a real true survivor. I mean, I think they shared the doors with the Maestro with those caps on the top. They're certainly related to them. You've got that interesting arrangement with the glass in the back, which I suppose gave the car extra length. And there you go. I think the Montego was the last car to bear the Austin badge. Well, doesn't it look nice? So Ford originally developed a rally car program for the Escort Mark III, the RS 1700T. It was a Group B Evolution car, double overhead cam, 16 valve engine, and to be honest with you, quite honestly, this is quite a rare car these days. In actual fact, it didn't succeed. The program was dropped, and subsequently what followed it was the even more epic 250 horsepower RS 200. I think built by Tickford. A certain number of road cars required to actually justify that homologation status for rallying. Inside, very recognisably Ford. Have a look in there. Recognise the Ford switchgear. I think those look like Fiesta switches that are turned the other way around. Who knows? If you know the answer, let me know. But yeah, I'm really pleased to see an RS200. Don't know what they're like to drive and probably never will know. If you've got one, stick it in the comments. So it's not unusual to see a Porsche 924, but it is unusual to see a Porsche 924 Turbo. So you can see the cooling vents in the front. It's apparently an Audi block with a Porsche head. There's about 65 of these left in the UK. It's beautiful in that sort of, I'm going to call it opaline, which is a Rover colour, and it's not opaline. I'll try and find out what the colour actually is. We'll take a quick look inside of it. Beautiful of its time trim. Okay, quite a bit of vinyl in there. Oh, but look at those pinstriped seats. What is not to like? Oh, and a bit of green carpet as well. Oh, that's fantastic, isn't it? Brown and green. Well, it's certainly an incredible looking car inside. You've got some electric seats in there as well. Electric seat adjustment. That must have been quite something. Yeah, that's a pretty rare one, I think, isn't it? Fabulous. Good to see that. I do like these. I must admit, I think they're a really accessible way into Porsche ownership. Fabulous. So thanks for watching the video so far. I hope you've enjoyed the cars you've seen so far. We've only just about done one haul. We're going to keep on walking and see what else we can find and try and pick out some of the rare and unusual and interesting cars here at the show today. So some of you might recognise this. It looks like it might be related to a Triumph Dolomite. The reality is it's a Panther Rio built in relatively small numbers, hand built, beautiful cars inside, but unfortunately Panther cars really didn't find the market for this. It was extremely expensive as an XJ6 in actual fact. So it didn't sell in huge numbers, but a more compact executive appointed car for, I guess, for the fuel crisis, I suppose, but didn't work and there's very few left. So another Panther creation. So it's the DeVille, launched in 1974, apparently one of the most expensive cars at the 1974 Earl's Court show, using a 4.2 litre or 5.3 litre Jaguar engine. I think those doors are from a Maxi or a Land Crab. What do you think? It's sad that I know that, but drop it in the comments if you actually know whether that's the case. So the 101 Dalmatians connection going on there. Wow, it's epic. And you know what, there's one of these would be good, but truthfully we're going to get a bit of overload. There's also a Roadster version here as well. Wow, I mean, this is for the truly flamboyant cars. I think that one has got XJ6 doors actually. It's also sad that I know that. I need to get out more. Wow, that is absolutely something else, isn't it? You certainly make a statement with any of those cars, wouldn't you? So here's an XJ40, had one of the longest gestation and development periods, I think, of any British car. Delayed development, but it benefited apparently reliability. But this one is unusual in that it is an estate version. Now, never officially produced. Some privately developed or built examples exist, and this is one of them. I think probably Jaguar themselves built a prototype, but it just works as an estate, doesn't it? So this glorious yellow wedge of Lotus Elite, it's a 503, so the 03 denotes the trim level. I think there were 501 to 503. I think this might be top spec, but it's celebrating a 50th anniversary. Can that be true? An attempt by Colin Chapman to go up market with his sports cars, and started, I believe, with the Elite, and that looks great, doesn't it? Love that very useful opening hatch. And there's a number of examples here today. Here's another one as well. I do like these. Hands up who had the Corgi toy. I know I did. Epic. Okay, I admit it, I was drawn in by the colour of this beautiful, 1974-75 Lancia Beta Coupe. Supposedly a 2+2. Well, I've been in the back of one of these, and believe you me, even as a teenager, there's not an awful lot of room. I think the colour combination is really, really nice, really works well. That sort of biscuit coloured trim with that green. It's probably got some very exotic Italian name for the colour, I'm not sure what, but honestly I'm sold on that one, and just only on the colour alone. Great car. So some of you may remember I filmed at the Ginetta 65th anniversary G-Fest. Didn't see too many of these. This is a Ginetta G26, uses I think the Ford Pinto engine, 2-litre overhead cam engine, and I think there's quite a lot of parts carried forward from the Cortina. You do see the older cars, but you don't see so many of these. I think you could pretty much build these at home as well. Unusual design, I think driven by the fact it uses Fiesta doors. I can see that much in a lot of Ford parts. They had a really good relationship with Ford Motor Company, and that's one of the cars they produced. Interesting style, isn't it? So this is a rare find. It's an 83 Fiat 127 GT, 75 horsepower, belongs to Steve, so shout out to Steve who's letting me film the car, and I have asked permission to have a look inside. It's a rare car, very near the end of 127 production, quite a heavy facelift actually. Inside you recognise it's been updated from the earlier cars. It's in beautiful condition. Oh, look at the fishnet head restraints. Wow, to give it that sort of sporty look, don't they? Didn't expect to find those in a Fiat. We'll just take a look around the back of it. The additions of the spoilers, all part of the GT, the 1300 GT, and of course it's got 5 speeds. There you go, eh? When 5 speed, it's got the original dealer plate in there. I'm liking that quite a lot. So there we've got it, one of the last Fiat 127s, I think probably, that came to the UK. Lovely. Now this is a beautiful Jowett Javelin in golden sand. Model was introduced in 48, and the company I think went out of business in the 60s, early 60s. This car was quite revolutionary with its flat 4 engine 1500cc, but unfortunately they went out of business through no fault of their own. What actually happened is Briggs Motor Bodies of Doncaster were taken over by Ford. Ford responding to an increase in sales, resulting to a drop in purchase tax, and suddenly Jowett had nobody to produce their bodies, their car bodies. Really tragic story for them, for such a revolutionary car. But the company did the honourable thing, and in actual fact went on to settle all their debts. They didn't go out of business losing any money. Wow, it's a pity you can't smell on YouTube sometimes, because it smells absolutely lovely in there. Oh, that is beautiful. That honestly, the combination of that colour just really works for me. What a shame Jowett are no longer about, but if you're a Jowett enthusiast, you definitely need to be in the Jowett club. So this little beauty is a Fiske 325cc rear engine 2-stroke engine. This particular car is ex-motor show car, but it did, according to the owner I've just had a chat with, did the Monte Carlo run in 22 hours in 1958. Wow, well, let's have a look around the back. I'm not sure I would have gone all the way to Monte Carlo. Now, the owner said to me, I just asked him what they were like to drive, or as a passenger, he said it's like being dragged along on the back of a shovel. So that's not really selling it to me, but quite honestly, what a car. I'd still love to have a go in one anyway. So looking like Noddy's escape from Toy Town is this Fiat Vignale, and I think these are based on the Fiat 500 Gamine. It's officially called Fiat Vignale Gamine, rear engine car, so exactly sort of lifted from the Fiat 500. Wow, there's something about that, especially in Noddy colours as well. So what have we got next to it? Oh my god, we've got a Gogomobile. I can barely pronounce that. Looks at the front a little bit like a Riley, but obviously a lot smaller. Because of the fuel crisis, the Gogomobile TS250 Coupe was one of the cars that really found a niche in the market. BMW did with their 700L, and well, there you have it. Well, there's something very appealing about that, I must admit. So officially, I think the world's smallest car in the Guinness Book of Records, driven by Clarkson round BBC Television Centre before we got the sack. It's a Peel P50, built on the Isle of Man What an incredible little car. Supposedly a one-seater. I'm barely sure I could get in there, actually. Too many pies and you wouldn't, but there you go, completing the microcar set. Fabulous. So another rare beast is an Alpha 90 built on the Alfetta platform, only built for about 3 years. I reckon the only people that bought these in number were the Italian police, allegedly. Wasn't a commercial success. I think it's got the 2.5 Busso engine in, which is a very redeeming feature, and there is only 3 of these taxed on the road in the UK. Well, that's one of them, so we're only going to track down the other 2, and we've seen all of the population. Wow, take that one in, eh? So it's pretty rare to find a Mark 1 Sierra in this condition in the UK, but this one's an import. It's a 2.3 V6 GLE from South Africa, I think probably built in South Africa. Got some of those lovely features of the era, not quite the same dustbin lid wheel trims that some of the cars have actually got. We're going to see if we can just have a look inside, if the car's open. Let's have a look if it is. Oh, it is open. Let's have a look. That'll be a very familiar fascia. The fascia, the dashboard's not cracked, unlike many UK cars. Look at that sort of single type spoke steering wheel, separate column stalks for lights and wipers. That typical Ford switchgear. That's lovely, isn't it? What a beautiful, beautiful car. Well, it's certainly one you'd want to have in your collection, isn't it? Lovely. Is your life lacking a ZBR Davellino? Well, you can buy one. Apparently, at the time of production, it was the smallest production factory-built car in the world with a 125cc engine and a lot of Fiat components, built in Switzerland. Well, you couldn't make it up, could you? Honestly. I've seen bigger ride-on lawnmowers than that. Good Lord. Well, there you go. That is definitely a one-off. So I must share the fascinating story about this Mark II Cortina. I know you've seen a few Mark II Cortinas, maybe even on this video, but this one has 30,366 kilometers. So apparently, on the 15th of October 1970, MLN's purchased this Cortina, and today it still retains the same Swiss registration documents. And you know what? It's never been restored. It is exactly as new. It was supplied by the dealer. It shows the owner's name as the only keeper, and was serviced by the Ford dealer right the way from new until 1986. And honestly, it is unmarked. It is totally unmarked. Goodness, that is an absolute time capsule. So it's been used, but not been used a lot. Goodness, absolute one-off. So another beautiful Swiss car. The Swiss do look after their cars, and this is a Swiss-owned and built Vauxhall Victor FD, right-hand drive. It is in black. The interior is lovely. I think it's even still got it's got plastic on the floor. My word, that one is beautiful. One of these used in a TV program nobody will remember, I'm sure, watching, called Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. And another testament to long-term ownership and the care of one very dedicated owner. That is absolutely beautiful, isn't it? And there's the old picture from Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. Lovely. The E24 6 Series is a special car, but this is super special. It's one of 2 Koenig specials. Look at that wide body kit the car's got. It cost the equivalent apparently of 50,000 euros back in 1986 to build. I have to work out how much that one is today. Well, you certainly need a reasonably sized parking space. Look at the width of it. You can see the standard car just about in there, and then obviously the body kit. Well, it is no shrinking violet, is it, that one? What an epic looking car. Takes me back to the Max Power days to some extent. Doesn't it look immense? Fabulous. So this was Ford's answer to the gap created by the launch of the Sierra, and having no booted version, they launched something called the Orion. Now this one, as I know because I had one, is a gear, but it's a non-injected gear. Oh, this is familiar territory for me here, I must admit. we'll just open the doors and have a quick look inside. That is very familiar to me, that single wheel, the door cards with the electric window switches there. It's an automatic. It's still got that fascia C-box for the cassettes, because we were all using cassettes back in the day, weren't we? I do love that trim. Oh, it's lovely in there. Somebody has done a hell of a job with that car. Hasn't it been maintained and looked after really, really well? We'll try and take the full majesty of it in. Lovely. So what's the chance of finding another dimmer modified car today? Well, we found one. We found a 1991 Clio 16 valve dimmer. I have to say, it's on the another car on the Lancaster Pride of Ownership stand, and the paintwork really pops. If your paintwork's not looking its best, these lights are going to pick it up. It's got gold wheels reminiscent of the Williams. It says dimmer design, and it's relatively subtle compared with some of the dimmers. Okay, it's got a Testarossa sort of grills on the side. It's got the rear spoiler. These are probably coming to their own, and dimmers have got their fan base of all their own, but that is great, isn't it? I don't know what else to describe it with. Too many superlatives already used out on that one. So this car has been restored by the owner, and it's a jet black special edition Mini, and the attention to detail is staggering. It's got the right jet black graphics on it, even, and I'm not sure if they were standard like that, if you look at the wheels, it's got the red rim around the wheels. The wheels are painted red. Maybe that's been added by the owner. Goodness, these don't survive as well as this one. A painstaking restoration has been undertaken. We'll try and have a look around the bonnet. We'll try and give you a shot under the bonnet if we can, just to show you. This is where many people have caught their knuckles underneath. So I'm just going to cut in front of somebody here, and that's absolutely lovely, isn't it? Beautiful. So looking like how we thought the future looked back in 1972 is this ADD Nova. I thought these were a kit car. Probably I'm being unkind to it, but I thought they were VW based. I've seen them with an Alpha engine in. They're incredible. Look at this one piece sort of, well, it's not even a door, the whole car lifts off, doesn't it? Just about get a peek inside there. Well, it's exquisitely prepared, isn't it? I mean, it certainly deserves its place here. That colour absolutely pops. Wow, that's beautiful, isn't it? And it looks quite exotic. You wouldn't, its origins are not exactly clear from the outside. Now you might have to go a long way to find a Lancia Beta 2000. These were the subject of a recall and a bit of a scandal over rust in the UK, and it overshadowed what was apparently a very good driver's car in terms of engineering, suspension and so on. Really are relatively rare these days. This one, probably like many survivors, is only left-hand drive, some sunnier climbs, top speed of 112 miles an hour it says, and a respectable 113 brake horsepower. Well, it's wherever it's been, it's quite a survivor, isn't it? Fabulous. So this little beauty is a Volvo 144, complete with white wall tyres, complete with wing mirrors. It takes me back. My dad had one like this. He had a K-plated one. It's absolutely lovely, lovely condition. It's we can have a look inside. There's a few features about these. It's only got 85 horsepower, not the quickest thing. The handle's interesting how it opens. The handbrake, well, I've forgotten that. The handbrake down by the side of the driver's seat. This is the automatic, but it's got the strip speedo there as well. I suspect it's probably plastic trim. Might have made my legs burn back in the day in the summer. It's beautiful, isn't it? What great condition. It's truly, and it shuts with such a thunk, the doors. These were so well built. The owner was in fact telling me of somebody reached out to him and said their parents had one in the same colour, an estate that had left the road in an accident in the 70s, rolled 3 times, and everybody got out without a scratch. And that says it all about Volvos. What a great sight that one is. Love them. So Mazda's rotary experience goes back a long way, and this is an RX-4 from 1973. So obviously the cc of the engine is different. It's just like 1.2 cc's, but 130 brake horsepower. You can see this American influence styling, a bit like the Celicas of the period. This completely open coupe, no B-pillar there. In fact, it makes it a very, very attractive looking vehicle, doesn't it? Goodness, that colour absolutely pops. It's a right-hand drive car, bizarrely as well. So I'm just try and get it fully in shot there. Wow, lovely. So we got a treat here for Vauxhall fans, Luton's finest, the Chevette. So wasn't this based on a Opel platform, I believe, with the front? This is a later car. The earlier cars had the recessed headlamps. We're going to take a walk round the back of it and have a quick look. Oh, the paintwork's beautiful, actually. God, that's well turned out, isn't it? It's the L. Very nice colour. Let's have a look inside without further ado. Let's see if this side's open. Oh, it is. It is. Plenty of vinyl there. But the bit you're waiting for is the blue carpet and the checkered seats. I know you want them. I know you want to see checkered seats. I know I do. And it's got that typical old car aroma. It's a proper four-seater, as you'd expect. Just a proper family car. Where did they all go? I don't know. But I'm absolutely chuffed to have seen this one. What a true survivor. Lovely. So a shout out to the 300ZX Owners Club. Fantastic stand, guys. And we'll take a closer look at this. The Z32 generation car, twin turbos, 0 to 60 in about 5.4 seconds. I mean, still pretty, not shabby at all today, is it? This one is the Targa top. Most cars were Targa top cars. The so-called slick tops with normal roofs weren't imported. Actually, look at the door, how the frame of the door, it's frameless at the top part of the door there. Didn't realise that until now, I must admit. Automatic, I think mostly were autos. If you know different, tell me. Interesting how the fabric continues from the door into the dashboard. Quite a nice touch. Typically Japanese controls. Lovely condition, this one, actually. Well, quite a performance car, and I've driven one. If only I could remember what it was like. I drove one back when they were new, and they were certainly pretty impressive cars then. Right, nice to get close up with one of those. Unmodified as well, which is a relief. So most people believe the Brabham Viva was the performance one, but in actual fact it wasn't. It was this GT with a 2-litre engine and something like 113 brake horsepower. This really was the performance version of the car, and actually you can imagine the amount of weight this car has got in it. It absolutely shifted. I'm going to walk backwards here without trying to fall down and get that in shot. Well, it's resplendent in blue, and I guess you noticed, I think many of them came out of the factory with a factory finished black bonnet. I'm sure they did. If you know different, or if you can confirm that, please put it in the comments. So the newly formed Cult Car Club has actually got some great cars on display. It's got a very early Lancer from '79, and the company I think only launched in '77 in the UK. That's a lovely example, isn't it? You're pretty rare to see them. I think I might have seen them as 4 doors, but certainly not as 2 doors, and it's resplendent in black. Then we've also got a Galant 2000 GTO. My goodness, that's a rare one as well, isn't it? We'll try and get a look from the other side, because that looks pretty impressive looking car, reminiscent of Celicas of the period to some extent as well. Just try and get that in shot. That fastback sort of semi-Mustang style. You can see where they're going, can't you? And I think there's one more over there. We'll take a look at that. And we've got a Galant DL, a 1976 Galant DL. Wow. And that is in great order. Absolutely great. 2-door hardtop coupe version of the Galant. I can't remember there being a coupe version of the Galant, but clearly there was. Some lovely features. They've even got the, well, it's a Colt, not a Mustang, but There you go. Well, that's a rare collection, and hats off to the Colt Car Club for turning out these today. So it's a pleasure to see a Nissan 280C. That's a rare sight, although there are a few more here hidden around, but not like this one that spent most of its life, early life, with the Japanese embassy in London. It's a proper embassy car. It's in black. It's got the blacked out rear windows. Wow, it's something else. And it says maintained by Blessed Vehicle Refurbishment. Well, shout out to those guys, because it's still going, so they must be doing a reasonable job. Excellent. So I must admit, I wasn't clear about the existence of a Lotus Cortina convertible converted by Crayford, but they did convert the Mark II, and they converted 40 examples of it like this one. Well, I don't think I've seen one of the Lotus examples, well, probably because they're pretty rare. That's lovely, isn't it? So the Fiesta Supersport was way more than some sort of badge engineered special edition. It wasn't at all. It was developed by Ford Special Vehicle Operations. The trim inside, I think, is unique. Certainly the stripes are. Many of these Mark I cars have been made to look like Supersports. One of these sold at auction a few years ago during the pandemic for £24,000, but we're going to have a look inside. I think the trim is called, the unique trim is called Carlo, I think. Lovely trim. If you like checks, this is the place for you. Extremely well cared for, this one. Beautiful condition, isn't it? Opening quarter lights, so that's handy. They're quite a nice little feature, isn't it, without opening the whole window. That looks absolutely lovely, doesn't it? Love those RS wheels as well. A little bit of a rubber lip spoiler on the back. Hasn't it survived well? Now this particular car, we can take a look at the front, has been fitted with a bored out XR2 engine. Wait for it, for 1700cc, so I bet it goes a bit. Brilliant. Now to me these are an absolute treat. It is the Opel Monza, but not only the Monza, it is the GSE edition. So the GSE edition, I'm not sure mechanically if there are any changes. Wiper on lights moment there. It's got those wheels with the dark centers and the silver rims. It's got a beautiful, I think they might be Recaro seats, not sure. Lovely interior. This one's in super condition. It really is. I did sit in one of these last year and it was undergoing a restoration, but honestly this is something to aim for, isn't it? One that looks like that. Wow, that's lovely. So Vauxhall's Executive Express. No, it's not the Amiga, that came later. It's a Senator. And not only that, it's the dual ram 24 valve CD. Oh, look at that leather automatic. Nice Momo steering wheel in there, in actual fact. A little bit of wood going on. Factory sunroof. Understated auto barnstormer. And it's a lovely car, this one, I must admit. Absolutely beautiful. Nice to see that. So probably about as basic as you can get an Opel Manta, but it's a GT. Couldn't quite afford the insurance, but didn't mind the steel wheels. Well, the GT is the one for you. Love that sort of brownie coloured interior, cloth trim there. Owner's got all the original invoices. Wow, a shout out to the owner for that display. That looks really cool. What a super looking car. Perfect condition, isn't it? So this, believe it or not, is a one owner console convertible. The owner took it off the road 40 years ago. He got a company car, put it in a concrete garage and left it there. Now the guys at M25 Classics have kindly said I'm welcome to sit in it. I'll pass on that one if you don't mind, guys, but thanks for the offer. So £5,000 will get you this one owner from new. I think car body's converted, console convertible. Well, certainly an interesting winter project for somebody, isn't it? Wow, one owner, eh? Any ideas what this is? Well, it's a Toyota Will VI. Still none the wiser? Well, apparently it's based on the Mark 1 Yaris, in Mark 1 Yaris mechanicals. It looks like the love child of a Ford Anglia and maybe a VW Beetle from the back. Certainly interesting styling there, without a doubt. It's a quirky little car, probably very reliable. We'll take a look inside as well, and it's got, oh, that's interesting, bench seat, column mounted gear change in there. Oh, quite a bit of room. What a quirky little car, isn't it? I think these were only ever sold, pretty much sold in Japan. Beautiful. It's even got a little mat on the tunnel at the bottom, just under the console. Wow. So County Classics have got this, and they're selling it for $3,999. So if you want to be driving around in a Will VI, give them a call. So thanks for watching Lot 76 Fast from the 40th anniversary Lancaster Classic Motor Show. Please like, share, subscribe. Please tick on notifications to be informed of my next video. And from the inside of a BMW Isetta, once again, as always, thanks for watching.